So are we rolling?
Yeah, you're good.
So one of the things that we field constantly from our social channels, from our in-restaurant guests, and even friends and family whenever we go about, is get me in the game. It's not that there is any need to gatekeep at this point. There is so much information out there. There is so much tools and technology out there. Really, the only thing that I would say that is holding anybody back from great barbecue at this point in time is disposable time or discretionary time. So, the biggest thing that I would say if you want to learn is that you have to just kind of take a look at your schedule and see when you're going to do that, because it's not quick. You can definitely self teach um, very readily at this point, because there are so many great um, influencers, instructors, and professionals out there just sharing their wealth of knowledge. The state of barbecue overall has evolved a great bit since I was a kid. And also the commercialization of it has made it very accessible to practically everyone at this point. So, um, as far as what do you need to do to barbecue at home, you need a couple things. You need a smoker that is consistent with your schedule, and what I mean by that is if you have um, a job where you can leave at 3 p.m. on Friday and return at 8 a.m. on Monday, you should buy a Oklahoma Joe, buy an offset, and learn it the hard way. Sit on that little firebox and sweat your butt off and feed that fire every 20 minutes. You'll get through it, and you'll have an appreciation for people that do it for a living. If you don't have that type of flexibility, go in a more logical direction and get a pellet grill. I don't have any hate towards them because of the fact that they can produce better food than someone who is short on time with equipment that is deemed as more traditional or superior because of its purist aspect. I think that somebody that has a Traeger and a busy schedule can make great barbecue. That's not a plug for Traeger, but it's just that style of grill is the one that really um, brought that to a lot of people's homes. There's many different manufacturers. Traeger was one of the oldest ones. I think they're based out of Utah. They got to the point where the family had grown it to the point where they had reached the extent of their, will or know-how, and they brought on a CEO of a company that was producing headphones called Skull Candy, and he took that into a worldwide brand and did all of the things to put it in people's hands. Not only with the purchase of the equipment, but also all of the content that supports it. And that very few of these barbecue grill manufacturers, smoker manufacturers, do that much effort to actually get people avidly cooking. So I don't have any mistrust or dislike towards them. Um, so the equipment is the first thing that you need to figure out. The equipment needs to work with your allowance of time. If you don't have a lot of time on your hands, do not buy an offset smoker. I'm not saying that to sound cocky. I'm just saying, like, it ain't going to work. You're going to rush things, or you're going to have a hard time managing your fire, or you're going to be too busy to sit on it all day. So you just won't do it. That's not where I want to see you. I want to see you in the kitchen, actively cooking. And if that means that you use equipment that has an aspect of automation to it, then that's the route that we're going to go. So the first thing is the actual smoker itself. Um, I think that there's a lot of different options for every budget. There's a lot of different options for everybody's schedule. So that I think is just something that you need to be. Don't be egotistical about that. Do what's going to give you the best result. One of the best teachers that I ever had, what he liked to say was, "I'm going to hold you accountable for results over methods." And that's something that everybody could use an ounce of. So, the next thing I think that's critical is just finding a place where you can buy the right cuts of meat. Um, barbecue cuts, especially things like whole pork butts, whole briskets, whole chickens. Like, you can get some things from most stores, but you're not going to find all of it at every store, and you're not going to find the good stuff at most stores. So, um, having a line of sight on a good brisket, you can go the wholesale or warehouse club route. A lot of people do that, especially if you're in your learning phase. Buy as many briskets as you can that are affordable and cook them. And if they're not great, then, no huge loss. As you become more proficient, then spend more money on your ingredients. If you start cooking a choice brisket from Costco and you end up deciding that what you really want is to be able to cook, um, something that's prime or better, uh, please understand that you need to have the technique down to really get the most out of that expensive ingredient. So, I think that for me personally, I learned most of my techniques about the application of heat and salt, just cooking whole chickens. And I used to go to, I think it was a Sam's Club that was close by me when I lived in California, because they sold a sack of 3 whole chickens that was like super cheap. I think the chickens were like $5 a piece. That's definitely a long time ago. We're not going to get that deal today. But being able to take those whole chickens, fabricate them how I wanted to, and then understanding how to season them and how to cook them properly, I learned so much just through going through the repetitions. And that's really the important thing also. Do not take on the most difficult task first. Take on some things that are going to allow you to build your technique and get dialed and gain your confidence. As you gain confidence, then take on a more challenging task. Making sausage is not for a beginner. Cooking brisket is not for a beginner. You can do it, but the results are oftentimes disappointing because of the fact that you lack the experience or knowledge. So I would say, really, as far as getting started at home, those are the two main pillars of it. You need a machine, and you need to source the meats that you want to cook. Um, there's a handful of gadgets that I think everybody knows, but just to run through them very quickly, you definitely need to have a very good thermometer. And I don't mean that for the smoker, I mean that for the meat. We use an instant read thermometer. You need something similar so that you can check the meat temps quickly. And if you're checking many pieces, you can get in and out of the smoker and minimize your downtime, because the saying in the business goes, if you're looking, you ain't cooking. You definitely don't want to open the smoker and be in there with an old-fashioned analog thermometer that takes 30 seconds to actually give you a read. So spend some money on a thermometer. If you have, a technical inclination, go the Bluetooth route. Meter is a great one. You can definitely learn a lot from just playing with those, understanding the trajectory of meat as it goes through the cooking process. The hotter it gets, the faster it cooks, basically. And that's because the water inside, as it reaches the boiling point, is going to begin to cook more aggressively. The more excited all of those water molecules get, the temperature will increase. So that will go kind of like this and then start to go up very fast. So the instant read thermometer is a huge one. A good cutting board. Don't even come with a inferior cutting board. You spend all of this time, all of this money, all of this energy cooking meat, and you don't have anything nice to really carve it or serve it on. Get the cutting board. The knife is the other thing that we use. A knife that's a $50 knife. You can buy a $15 version of the same knife. It's just not as good, but use a serrated bread knife for barbecue in most instances. You're not going to need a high-end slicing knife. We use a Victorinox 10.25-inch wavy edge slicer. It looks like a bread knife. It's got a little bit of a larger tooth on it, and that gives us a really nice, even, clean, consistent cut. You can slice through bark, you can slice through lean, you can slice through fat, you can carve chicken, you can carve turkey. And that knife, like, we buy them, that we use them in all of our spots, and it's a $50 knife. It's never more complicated than that. So a thermometer, a cutting board, a knife, some type of gloves. You're going to need gloves to handle both raw food for your own, to keep things pleasant. But also when you're handling hot food, you want to be able to double up. So if you have some latex or nitrile or vinyl gloves, you can double up on gloves, and you can actually handle your briskets and butts when they're going to get wrapped. If you want to flip things over, you can use double gloved hands and manage them on the smoker. If you want to wrap things, you're going to use gloves as well. Um, and the last thing is just piggybacking off of what I just said, which is wrap. A lot of people are finding success with butcher paper. It started with Aaron Franklin's book. I don't think he pioneered it solely, but he popularized it using butcher paper. They call it pink paper in Texas because of the manufacturer that was local. They actually make a paper that's of a certain shade. All of the butcher paper is the same. You want unlined butcher paper. You don't want lined paper, that's for freezing. You want unlined butcher paper, that's just raw paper. It doesn't have any type of liner on it. And you want to be able to use that when you're trying to stop the development on the outside. So if the bark is getting too hard, too thick, too dark, you want to be able to wrap that. So, basically, I think those things will get you into the game. There's a lot more nuance to it, and we can talk about like ingredients and seasonings and all of that stuff. But really, for those that want to participate in it, please do yourself a favor, set it up from the beginning with ease of use in mind. Ease of use will lend to consistency, which will produce the repetitions to give you the know-how. You can read yourself to death, you can watch yourself to death, scroll yourself to death, and then go out and buy all of the fanciest things, but you're not going to be great at it until you've actually submitted to the process and actually put in the time, cutting meat, stoking fires, and understanding that whole process of cooking. And that's something that I think is the fun of it. That's what people chase after. They're trying to make that perfect rack of ribs. They're trying to make that perfect brisket. And overall, what you want to do is actually be avid in that process. You don't want to be trying to hero it with no knowledge. You can't buy your way into it. You really just have to understand that to get to the point where you're proud of your product is a process, and you have to actually go through that. Everybody's on a different timeline there. Depends on how fast of a learner, or if you have any background knowledge. If you've already cooked and you know how to cook most things but not barbecue, you'll probably know some stuff that's very applicable and relevant. If you don't cook at all, barbecue is the entry point for a lot of people into cooking in general, because it's a casual hobby type of cooking. It's not like a serious rugged, rigid, structured, dutiful type of cooking. And really, it's just something that I think people also often associate with just R&R, and that's something that, why not get good at that? So I hope that's helpful to those of you that want to dip your toe in the pool. And we'll expand on all those things as we go.